Hey everyone, Paulie here with HardDrive Radio, and I'm joined in the studio today by legends, and I don't say that lightly, Mark Tremonti and Myles Kennedy of Alter Bridge. Gentlemen, thank you so much for coming to see me today.
Thanks for having us.
Very excited about the brand new album, Walk the Sky. It's coming out October 18th, and I appreciate you taking the time to come here and let me interrogate you about it.
Sweet.
So let's get into it. Tell me when you guys started the writing process for this album.
Pretty much since the end of the last record we did. You know, we're always writing, but as far as organizing ideas, we started laying down demos maybe 4 months before we hit the studio, right? Maybe 3 months.
Yeah, like that.
Started just demoing, yeah.
Yeah, I'd say 4 or 5 months.
Yeah,
So 4 or 5 months.
yeah, 4 months. We'll say 4.
So I see, once again, you guys are working with the fifth member of Alter Bridge, Mr. Elvis Baskette. What is it about his style that just keeps you guys going back to working with him again and again?
He's really hard on us, which is what we like. He's, I think that at the end of the day, he's maybe the biggest Alter Bridge fan, and with that said, he listens like an Alter Bridge fan. So he's not going to let anything slide by. You know, if anybody's tempted to phone it in, it's not going to happen on his watch, and that's great. You know, I love that because he's not afraid to tell it how it is, and at the end of the day, I think that helps us up our game considerably.
Yeah, when I think about phoning it in, you guys are not a band that I think of. I feel like you're always bringing out, your best material. So I guess he's a big part of that. So it definitely shows.
Yeah, he's great.
Tell me about, for this record, was there anything new that you tried? I mean, you're always obviously trying to, write your best riffs, write your best music, but is there anything like completely outside your zone that you went with for the first time for this one?
Yeah, I ran into some stuff that was kind of John Carpenter-esque, the old synthwave stuff, and a few of the songs were kind of written with that in mind, and I try to create loops and listen to loops online and try to get out of my normal writing mind frame and just try to pull from somewhere else. And that's every record you try to do that a little bit, but that was the main outside influence that I can think of on this record that changed a little bit, but like I said before, we're still the same 4 guys doing it. We're just trying to do it a little different each time.
I think one of the songs that that synth sound really comes out on is Pay No Mind.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like it was cool to hear that, because for a second there I'm like, is that just like a really like crazy guitar effect that they're using, or is that like a keyboard? I couldn't tell.
There's a little bit of both on that. Some of the that's just crazy weird guitar sounds, but then a lot of the arpeggiated synthy stuff is, that's definitely the synth. Trick is how we're going to reproduce that live.
That was going to be the next question. Are you guys bringing out a keyboard player with you for the next
Can
run?
you play the keyboard?
We're gonna get it done. We're talking about maybe my guitar tech doing it. Scott Phillips is a really nice keyboard, so we'll bring that out, and in rehearsals get him playing it. Somebody's got to play it. We're not going to just hit play on a loop and fake it. We're going to have it played, and there's some things you just can't do on stage if it's some kind of sound effect, but if it's an instrument, we're going to have somebody play it.
Is that something you guys kind of have to maybe move around your setup a little bit to accommodate one more guy, or do you just like stick him in the back?
We'll see when it happens. We haven't rehearsed one day yet, so that's when you record something in the studio, you're always either happy or kicking yourself in the ass for doing something that's different, and now you got to figure out how to do it.
So when the album is finished, all the mixes are done, and you guys love everything, it's got to go out, and it's got to get printed, and got to get distribution networks ready, and there's this limbo where you guys as a band, you're sitting around waiting. How do you fill your time? Like, what do you do to keep busy and not go crazy?
There's always something going on. It's kind of like I think with all the various musical projects that we're a part of, if we're not recording with one, we're touring with another, or writing for a third, or it's there's. Let me put it this way: was it the night before last? I wrapped up with Slash and the Conspirators, and I remember walking off the stage. It was the end of the tour, and I just remember thinking, "Oh, I've got to. And I started playing the guitar part in my head for Wouldn't You Rather, like already shifting gears, because it's like there's just no time to mess around. It's like you literally just you get off one train, you jump on another. So it's music all the time.
It's a rock and roll train.
It's a rock and roll train. Rock and roll freight train.
It's funny. It's one of the things I always think about you guys. It always seems like you're working on something. Like if it's not Alter Bridge, you're doing stuff with Slash. Mark, you have your solo band. Like I feel like you guys could give a master class in time management skills with, because it seems like you're always doing something.
We have a lot of time. That's one thing when we're on tour. We do a lot of work during the day, but we have a lot of downtime too. So there's a 5-hour window there where you could get stuff done, and we fill that time with. You're either going to sit there and watch a movie on your laptop or play guitar. We play guitar. And it's just what we like to do. It's what we like to do in our spare time is what we do for a profession. So it works out.
And it's also great. The really cool thing now with technology, we were talking about Logic before, because I noticed you're using Logic as a recording platform, and that's what I use as well. And it's amazing what you can do with a laptop and good recording software while you're on the road. For me, because I was touring the entire time that the song that we were needing to prepare for this record, it was most all of it was done in hotel rooms all over the world, just using a laptop. And that's so technology has allowed us to do this. 25 years ago, I don't know if I could have done that, because you couldn't flush out the ideas the way they needed to be done and get inspired.
So are you guys just like not sitting in a room writing records together? Is it like Mark sends you a riff and you send him back a lyric and you're putting it together that way while you guys are in different parts of the world?
Yeah, we this time we just demoed on our own. I'd turn in songs, he'd turn in songs, and we just piled them up and went into pre-production with all of our favorite tunes ready to go. Usually we would write separately and then piece our ideas together, so every song was a collaboration. But on this record, for the most part, everything was worked out as much as we could on our own. And then when you get in a room with 5 heads, it's better than one. So we polished the songs that we worked on by ourselves and put it in the studio. But it was mainly because we had such a short time in the studio. We had to be more prepared than ever. And last record we did I thought it was the most stressful record to record, because everything was capturing lightning in a bottle. Last minute, let's get in pre-production, and write the song and record it. Sometimes it's kind of a race to find the next part, and just a little hectic for me. But I like it. I like being more prepared.
I want to talk about a couple of the songs on the album, and we got to start, of course, with the single, which is Wouldn't You Rather. We've been playing it here on HardDrive. You guys just came in and played an awesome acoustic version for it as well, and it's such an amazing song. Tell me, maybe not necessarily what the song is about, but more just like give me an idea of where your mind was when you were writing it, and if not that, maybe just an anecdote about what was going on in the studio when you were recording.
Yeah, I've told this story a couple times because it's interesting, and I tell it for a reason. How going back to the Elvis aspect, how important it is to have somebody who will tell it like it is. So when we were uploading our demos, he'd get back, oh, that's great for this week, because he's always very aware of like, we need a song like this, because we kind of dynamics or the epic or the whatever, but you still don't have that one song that's going to do this. You still you need to check that box. But I personally just put up a couple songs and thought, oh, this has got to be it. Hopefully we've got something to go with here. Nope. We talk on the phone, and he's like, sorry, bro. That ain't it. And I remember getting off the phone just being totally crestfallen, and I picked up my guitar and it was just like, dun, 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 dun. And I was like, wait, that's a pissed off riff. That might just work, So that's was kind of the genesis of it, and then it kind of blossomed from there. But it just goes to show you how important it is to have people be upfront with you and honest about, kind of where things need to be, and that's the point of having a good producer. So yeah, once that was done, we were off to the races, and then we took the initial demo and played it as a band, and everybody put their vibe into it and made it an Alter Bridge song, and I'm real happy with how it turned out.
Is there a overall theme for this album as far as what you were trying to write to?
Well, I mean, there's certainly a theme that runs off and on throughout the record. I mean, we have themes that touch on, there are themes that aren't about what I'm about to discuss, which we have indoctrination is kind of inspired by watching something on Netflix about like one of the cult leader. It's very dark and twisted, and then anyways, bunch of different subject matter. But I think the common theme that runs throughout it is the idea of becoming more aware and becoming more present, and realizing that right now is really ultimately all that matters. And I think a lot of it is very Eastern philosophy. A lot of that inspired many of the lyrics. So yeah, that's kind of the lyrical concept in a nutshell.
The album kicks off with a track called "One Life," and it's just a minute and a half of quiet guitar and Myles. And what was the genesis of that idea, and why is that important to begin the entire album?
I wanted to do something that set the record up kind of like Slip to the Void on AB3, but instead of the very dark, ominous version, something a little more positive and something a little more that foreshadowed some of the lyrical ideas we were just talking about. That idea that because I was so disillusioned during AB3, and it kind of cut myself off from any possibilities of any sort of quote unquote spirituality. I'm not talking like religion or deities or people in the sky. I'm talking just a philosophy for living and how to frame your day-to-day life. And I think that One Life is the manifestation of that concept and where the journey is about to embark on. It's the preface for what the journey is about to be.
I don't want to go through a couple more songs on the album, but I want to start with one where Mark kind of takes front and center with the vocals, and that's Forever Falling. When you guys wrote this song, was it written specifically like this is going to be your song, or like how does it come out that you're going to be the right voice to kind of jump in for that?
No, it was one of the songs that I did the demo for before pre-production, but it was never one that I said I'd prefer to sing this one. It was just towards the end, we see a lot of people online saying, it'd be good to get another Waters Rising or get Mark on there again singing. And then Myles, after we had heard all the songs, he was like, well, why don't you sing this one? It was this one and one other one. I forget which other one was going to be, but Forever Falling was one of my favorite tracks in pre-production. I had to rewrite the verses because Elvis gave me a lot of pushback on the verses. It was more of a more metal, more. He's like, he told me it was very King Diamond. Like,
what's wrong with that?
King Diamond is one of my favorites of all time, but it didn't, to me, it didn't sound King Diamond. But he was just like, the chorus is very strong, and I want to make sure the verse stands up to it. So did my best to rewrite the verse, and then I was going to sing the whole song, and then I get in there one day, and I had been doing backup vocals, and I go to sing the chorus, and I was really struggling to hit the notes, and then Myles had to leave town, so Elvis, just to be safe, was like, just lay a version down of you singing the chorus. And then when I went in there, heard, I'm like, why am I going to sing it? It sounds great. Let's just do it like that. So and I'm glad we did it that way. It's definitely one of my favorite tracks, and I hope people like it.
I would agree with fans where it's good to kind of hear you front and center more. Not to take anything away from Myles.
I actually would prefer it if he sang the whole record, because then I could just play guitar.
Make it easy.
I should just lay back and just riff out for 50 minutes.
Does your time being front and center in Tremonti, did that make you kind of more comfortable with just with your own voice and singing and being that person who's in the front?
Yeah, I mean, I just feel doing that. Getting out there. After the first Tremonti record, I felt I wasn't insecure anymore about singing. I think everybody's a little nervous about it. It's so personal. It's playing guitar is personal, but singing's even more personal. And putting yourself out there for the first time is a little nerve-wracking. But now that I've done it so many times, I love to sing. If I'm not on tour, I'm singing karaoke at parties.
Really?
But I don't sing rock. I sing some.
What's your go-to karaoke jam?
I love Night Shift by the Commodores. That's probably number one for me. Maybe Dock of the Bay, Otis Redding. You know, not rock. I love 70s soft rock.
I love yacht. I like to refer to it as yacht rock.
Yacht rock.
I think there's actually a station now completely
is.
dedicated to yacht rock.
Oh yeah, it's a great station.
It's great. I love yacht rock. Is the
Michael
best.
McDonald's
Pablo
on there
Cruz.
every 3 songs.
Michael McDonald just played in. My wife just went and saw Michael McDonald. She said it was amazing.
I would love to go.
Michael McDonald, if you're watching this video,
We
hook these guys up.
love you.
A couple of the other songs I want to talk about on the album, and one of those is Godspeed. I love this song. I love it. I think if there was another like single coming from the record, I think Godspeed would be it. Like,
awesome.
It's amazing. Tell me about writing this one, putting it together.
Godspeed was a track about a friend of mine who passed away last year, and he was just this beautiful spirit, this great person. And when I was writing the melody for it, the word Godspeed came out. I'm like, that's cool. I haven't really heard anybody sing Godspeed, and I just like Myles was saying earlier today, when you just spit out melody stuff, sometimes you hit a lyric and then you have to form it kind of starts telling the story for you. So it just turned into a song about my buddy Seth Luker, and it's my favorite song on the record, probably.
I mean, I from the lyrical content, I kind of assumed that that's kind of what the content of the song was about, but it's such a songs writing about people who have passed away. They can be sad, they can be angry, but it's such a like an uplifting and beautiful song. You guys did an amazing job, and I think that's kind of really hard to pull off. So
thank you. I didn't want it to be too direct and tell too much of a story. It's still kind of vague, because we've done Blackbird and we've done In Loving Memory, and it's such a powerful thing to write about, and you can write such good songs, so the emotion is so deep in you for those songs. So I didn't want this one to be too, I wanted to just leave a little bit of it could mean a lot of things. Yeah.
The next song I wanted to ask you guys about is Take the Crown. Can you tell me a little bit about this one and what was into it?
Yeah, Take the Crown is another one of my favorites. It's when we first put together songs for the first single, that was one of the contenders, and then everybody at the radio staff was like, let's do Wouldn't You Rather. So I think Take the Crown is the contender for another future single, hopefully, maybe. And we'll really know when the record comes out. People are going to respond to the record, and that will do our job for us to decide that. But it was a song that morphed a bit from the original riff I had written to write the basis of that song disappeared and became something different. We rewrote the verse in the studio. I had a chorus with that song that I sang. It was funny. I sang a different chorus, and then Myles, because I sang that chorus, sang his chorus idea as his guitar solo. So it went back to, let's use your chorus, Myles, and I turned my guitar solo into my old chorus of the song. So it's one of those songs that, it's five heads are better than one. You get it in there, make it a better thing. And from friends that I've played the record for, that's definitely a favorite.
It's a funny lyric too, because people take it as like, I think, take the crown or triumphant and blah, blah, blah. It's actually about this.
Don't ruin our licensing moment here, because it's sporting events.
Well, but it is related to sporting events. But it was about this when I was a kid, we played t-ball, and there was this team that lived in the next town, and they were ferocious t-ball team. They would kill everybody. We had no chance. It was when I lived in Nez Perce, Idaho, and way back in the day. And I think they were from Cottonwood, that's what the town was. But I just remember they would just come in and just destroy.
And the sounds of fury will shake.
Yeah,
the
exactly.
earth.
So when you listen to the song, picture these
T-ball.
little kids playing t-ball, and it was just like this just
you have
basically
ruined
unstoppable t-ball team.
You have ruined it.
That's what it's about.
Everyone.
That's I swear.
I don't think that ruins it at all, man. I think that just makes it even more savage. Children are vicious, man.
It'd be a funny video. I think if we actually made a video for it, it would be funny. It would be funny to have like these little kids like beating each other up.
There's a track on the album called "Walk on the Sky." Is that where the album title comes from as well?
Correct.
So what made this title the right one? Like, what was it about it that stand out to be the defining title for this work?
In my opinion, it was, we do the same thing every record. We print out all the lyrics, we go through them, look at all the song titles, and try to. That's the easiest way to find an album title. It's the best way, I think. And we went through the lyrics, and "Walking on the Sky" was such a cool. As soon as you see it, all this imagery starts to go off in your brain, and we just abbreviated it. "Walk the Sky" was such a good. It's one of those things where you ask your friends, you think we should name it this or that, or "Indoctrination" was another one. I like that. That's one of my favorite tracks on the record. But "Walk the Sky" just was, everybody's like, yeah, that's it. And we came up with the art that everybody loved. And
your brother did the art, right?
He did, yeah. And it was just one of those, I think we did a few batches of art where, it's everybody like, yeah, that's cool, but not it. And then all of a sudden that one image came up and everybody immediately was like, that's it.
So your brother Dan, I think he's done the artwork for every Alter Bridge album.
Yes.
Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
Do you guys give him direction, or does he kind of like put a few ideas down and you sort through them? How does it work?
Yeah, no, we give him direction. We give him the lyrical content, and then we just kind of go with it.
Last year, you guys put out a live album for your sold-out shows at the Royal Albert Hall, and it was just an incredible night, an incredible experience. Everything I read about it from the fans are just like, this was probably the greatest show that you guys have ever played. Gearing up for a show like that where you're playing with like a full orchestra behind you, what kind of preparation do you guys have to do to get ready for something like that?
It wasn't nearly as much in a sense of rehearsal as I thought there would be. We only had like 2 days to rehearse with the orchestra. But so a lot of it was just work that had to be done beforehand, where they would do the arrangements and send it back to us for approval. And once that was good, then we hoped that when we all got in the same room together that it would be like, this is going to work. So, yeah, it was pretty cool. I remember the first day we were rehearsing, and they were behind us, and I remember we were all just like, wow, this is really powerful. This is really special. So, but the problem was we only got to rehearse the song. We went through each song one time. In the 2 days, because we'd have to stop and fix something or whatever, so the entire set was only run once. And then we had to go out there and
go do it.
Go do it,
everybody
kids.
on film. Yeah. The hardest thing was just the beginnings of the songs, counting everybody in at the right moment, because a lot of these songs morph for us live, and we play different lengths for the intros. And we were playing "Ghosts of Days Gone By," and everything just fell apart. And we're kind of looking at everybody, what the hell happened? And then our drummer pulls up the song on the CD, and we're like, yeah, we're playing this wrong. But we rehearsed a lot before we got in there. So as a band, we had those songs down pretty well. And toughest thing was those were songs that we hardly ever played. Mm-hmm. So we had to practice those a lot before we got in there with the orchestra. But they were so pro that once they had the proper count-ins, they killed it.
Did it throw you off like the first time you heard the string section behind you and just like, oh damn, what's that?
It just makes your hair stand up. Yeah. It's just to have all those musicians playing those songs that you put all that time into was just such a rush.
So the album is "Walk the Sky." It's out October 18th. The band is Alter Bridge. Gentlemen, thank you so much.
Thank you.
I can't wait for everyone to hear this album. It's freaking fire.